The toughest opponent that most tennis players face isn't standing at the other end of the court, it's the player that lives inside their own head. Tennis is obviously a very physically demanding sport, but it's also mentally demanding, and the words that you say to yourself are extremely powerful. They're going to be the biggest thing that decides whether you improve, you win, and you enjoy tennis, or the exact opposite. Now, over the last few years, I've been relearning to play left-handed. Unfortunately, I injured my collarbone in a mountain bike crash, so I've had to switch hands. And this means that I'm playing with players that I wouldn't necessarily have played with before, slightly lower level players. And something that's become very, very clear is that the vast majority of players have a constant negative commentary going on inside their head. They never say anything positive to themselves. So when they hit a great shot, they don't say anything. All they do is make comments to themselves when they do anything wrong. So maybe they're berating themselves for getting too close to the ball, or hitting it late, or missing a simple shot, but it's just a constant stream of abuse. I've been practicing with a guy recently. He knows who he is. He's a great player to practice with because he's very consistent. A little bit of an unusual game style. He stands very close to the baseline and he takes pretty much everything on a half volley, but despite that difficult game style, he's extremely consistent. And even when you play points, he's still very consistent. But he really gets in his own way because of the way that he talks to himself. So although we might have an amazing rally and he hits a whole, hits 5, 6 great shots in a row, if he does anything wrong, he starts giving himself very negative commentary, and often even when he's won the point. So we'll have had an absolute battle of a point and he'll hit a shot at the end that he wins the point, even if it's a clean winner. If he didn't hit the ball cleanly, he gives himself a bunch of abuse. And by doing this, he basically talks himself out of winning more points, talks himself out of enjoyment, and talks himself out of becoming a better player. Like, he's just played a fantastic point, he's just won the point, and he still finds a problem. So there wasn't any problems at all, and he manages to find a problem from absolutely nowhere. And this is something that I see from a lot of players. So if you want to improve your game, one of the biggest things that you have to do is gain control of the voice that's going on inside your head, because you do get to control it. The way our brains work, if we do something over and over again, we get better at it. So we develop habits. We basically rewire the brain. So if you say negative things to yourself over and over again, you'll get better at saying negative things to yourself. You become a more negative tennis player. But it is 100% within your control of doing the opposite. If you interject that and start saying positive things to yourself over and over again, eventually you'll develop the habit of being a more positive player. So I want to set you a challenge this week. I want you, when you practice, when you play, to notice how many negative things you say to yourself. Maybe even write it down, make a note on your phone or something, but write down how many negative things that you say to yourself and how many positive things that you say to yourself. And obviously the next step is, every time you say something negative or go to say something negative, try and stop yourself from doing it and see if there's something that you can find within what you just did that was more positive. So maybe you set up in the right position, but you just slightly missed the shot. So compliment yourself on the good things that you did and reward yourself mentally and remind yourself to do that over and over again, rather than focusing on the negative thing. But I would love you to come back and leave me a comment next week. How many times did you say negative things to yourself? How many times did you say positive things to yourself? Because really, if you want to improve and you want to enjoy more, this is one of the most important things that you can do, because the words that you say to yourself, the stories that you play in your head, are what control your actions. So you want to have positive stories so that you can have positive actions and keep on taking steps forwards to become a better player. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the mental training for tennis, I've got a masterclass that's going to dive in deep and talk about different parts of the brain and things like that. So if you find that sort of thing enjoyable, I'll place a link to the class up there, and I'll place a link down in the description so that you can check it out. But otherwise, I hope you have enjoyed this video and found it to be beneficial. Leave me a comment if you've got any feedback, and again, come back in a week's time, let me know how you got on with this challenge.